All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Sports Podcast. And for the fourth part of the show, we are going to talk about Myles Garrett signing a massive contract extension with the Cleveland Browns. So, we've talked about this recently. The way things were trending and what we were hearing constantly, it did not seem like Myles Garrett was going to come back to the Browns. And that no matter what the Browns would do, Myles Garrett was committed to getting out of Cleveland and going somewhere else. And he would do whatever it takes. And you were thinking, well, I was thinking, well, if he's willing to do whatever to get out of Cleveland and the Browns don't want to trade him, they're going to be on this standoff here. And this is going to go into next season, and he could end up missing games. But, of course, we were very far away from that. Anything can happen. And yeah, here we are. Myles Garrett agrees to a contract extension. Now, the specifics of the deal. So, this contract takes him through the 2030 season. So, he signed a 4-year extension with the Browns, $40 million of an annual salary, $123.5 million guaranteed. No trade clause included. And we talked about Max Crosby getting the highest paid non-quarterback contract. Well, Myles Garrett said, "Hold my beer," and now he has He is now the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history now. And we could sit here and say what changed. Well, I guess the easy answer is money talks. I guess maybe Myles Garrett realized I can't pass up on this. Am I going to get a deal like this elsewhere? Maybe. Maybe if he got traded to the Eagles, they'd give him that money. Look at what they did with Saquon. But he got a big payday, and now he's looking to try to, bring in more free agents to help this Browns team. But the Browns don't have a lot of cap space. Right now, they only have a little over $4 million in cap space. So there's really not a lot of wiggle room for them at the moment. Now, that doesn't mean they can't clear more cap space, but still. Anthony in the chat, hope everything's well. He said, I think Myles Garrett played the media, NFL fans in general, those masterstroke on his part to be able to get a contract with Cleveland. Maybe, because that's all we were hearing was it's a standoff. He does not want to sign a contract extension with the Browns. He's going to do whatever he has to do to get out of Cleveland. He wants to go to a contender, and you're hearing the Eagles were in on him, the Commanders, all these teams. I mean, pretty much every team, you could say, was saying, yeah, maybe we could get Myles Garrett. But the Browns are like, nope, we are not taking any calls, and they were able to come to an agreement, and he is now going to stick around in Cleveland, and we'll see what they do with that top pick. I mean, could they go and, pair him up with Abdul Carter? Are they going to take a quarterback? Because you're hearing the Browns could take a quarterback. Maybe they don't like the quarterbacks that are in this draft. I mean, they're going to have to do something. I mean, maybe if Kirk Cousins shakes loose from Atlanta, they bring him in. Kevin Stefanski, the familiarity there. The Browns still have good players on this team, but they need to figure out this quarterback situation. Because it's not going to be Deshaun Watson. It's not. And he is the main problem with this team because this team really can't do anything because of how big his contract is. I mean, they're trying their best, to clear cap space so they can get under the cap before, the new league year officially starts. But this contract is really hurting them. And he's going to be a non-factor next year. Anthony also in the chat says, I think Micah Parsons is going to break this record when he signs his extension with the Cowboys or doing the sign and trade with another team and they sign him. Yeah, so the Cowboys and Micah Parsons have begun negotiations. I'm pretty sure I saw that. Yeah, that would not surprise me. And I think I said this too on a previous show as well, that, we always see whenever these players now sign their new deals, You'll always see, oh, now this is the largest contract in NFL history. This is the the largest non-quarterback contract in NFL history. Well, it just keeps getting broke every single time, every single year. And now when the salary cap keeps going up, it's going to be the same thing. Jimmy has them. Yeah, Jimmy Haslam has screwed them by signing Deshaun Watson to that massive contract. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. This contract with Deshaun Watson has been an absolute failure. And not only that, but just giving up assets to get him. You gave up 3 first-round picks. I mean, it was one of the worst trades in NFL history. It really was. And they got to figure out the quarterback situation. Could they be a team that brings in a veteran instead of drafting one? I don't know. Listen, they got the number 2 overall pick. They could do a lot with that. Because maybe, the idea, I think I floated it around because I think I heard it from somewhere, and that's, if they traded Myles Garrett, then, you draft Abdul Carter, and then he becomes, that generational talent on defense. But I don't know. I really, I don't know. Because a lot of stuff you read, it could be a smokescreen, and we've said that. And also Anthony in the chat, when I say Micah Parsons breaks this record, his AAV, he's going to get paid $85 million per year. That's a lot. That's a big number. That's a really big number. I don't know about that. $85 million per year. I mean, I don't even think the Cowboys could afford to do that. They really have to fix up their cap situation. But back to Myles Garrett. So he had 14 sacks last year, which was second in the NFL behind Trey Hendrickson. He had 40 solo tackles, 22 tackles for loss, 28 QB hits, 83 total pressures, and he played in every single game. Now, like I said, Browns don't have a lot of cap space. They're coming off of a year where they only won 3 games. They're picking in the top 3. They play in a tough division. Right now, because of their quarterback situation, like even with the Steelers, they don't have a quarterback right now, but I do think the Steelers are in a much better situation than the Browns are. They got to figure that out. And I would think maybe you bring in a veteran. They are going to do that. And then maybe they draft one of the quarterbacks. But then again, I don't know. I don't know. Now, Garrett's agent spoke on what changed, and he said, Andrew, Barry, and I spent the last 36 hours getting the deal done. Myles has a change of heart. He's excited to go from Cleveland to Canton and chase a championship in Ohio. When he made that decision, he said, I want to get this done before free agency so I can start recruiting free agents so I can help the team. And I said, all right, we have 24 hours to get this done, and they did it. So, and this was courtesy of WKYC.com. Yeah, I look, I was surprised. I thought that he was going to be committed to holding out and trying to get traded, but that did not happen. Like I said, money talks. Money talks. He really changed his mind. Because I just looked up, what could have changed. But it really just comes down to, hey, he got a massive contract, and he could not pass it up. So he's sticking around, and I think Browns fans are relieved because if they would have lost Myles Garrett, then it's like, when are they ever going to have, again, like a franchise player that's going to stay around for their entire career in Cleveland? I mean, you had Joe Thomas. I'm talking about recently. But yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else the Browns are going to do because, they are limited, but we'll see. We'll see. But this is, good for them. I'm happy as a Giant fan because I would not want to see him end up on the Eagles or the Commanders because that would make the Giants' lives even harder to try to get out from underneath the basement of the NFC East because they're already trying to, work their way back up. But It's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot, especially when you have all three teams in a better situation now. And you had 2 out of the 3 make it to the championship game, and one of them just won the Super Bowl with your former running back. So, yeah, I am happy that Myles Garrett did not get traded to an NFC East team. Now, he does stay in the AFC North, and my dad's a Steelers fan, so he still has to deal with him. But, hey, who cares, you know? Now, but yeah, this is good for the Browns to get this done, but they still got a lot of needs to address, and I don't know how they're going to do it. We'll see. We will see what happens. But let me know what you guys think about the Myles Garrett deal. What are your thoughts on that? Let me know about that in the comments. And we are going to take our final break of the show now. And then when we come back, we will do a season overview on the Vikings. Talk about the kind of season they had, what they are planning on doing this offseason to try to... I mean, I don't really know how to say... I don't really know if I want to say improve. But there's some things that they have to address this offseason. I mean, they won 14 games last year. If anything, they might win less next season. But we'll talk about the season they had, some questions going into the offseason, what they can do, what positions do they need to address, whether it's in the draft or free agency. We will get into all that when we come back from our final break of the show. So, for one final time today, make sure to stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Sports Podcast.